on the radio, and I went when they said green, so it's too good to be true.
So what did Pop say to you after that one?
You screwed up.
Times. Here we go. Let's listen. Oh, you know something? He was off the gas, went to get the brake, possibly caught a little bit more gas, and in the turn just a little bit. Here we are on board with him. See, just cannot give himself enough room. Dixon had to make the turn, and now he's out. First three make their way by, but not Buddy Rice, who got stuck behind. Here we see it again in replay from Scott Dixon's car. If he had turned around and waited until then, see, watch how it winds through here, and you know, he really had nowhere to go. Sam's probably not even aware that this is going to happen because maybe he doesn't have.
If it's under green. Oh! Franchitti just hit his crew guys. He went into the pits. The fuel guy, two of them down.
It's important to note that Marco Andretti, who you see right now on board, like, make up your mind, get down low, get down high. To Marco Andretti. Whoa! I'll tell you what, he's going, yeah, I'm not sure who he's shaking his fist. Let's listen. Whoa, right, the left front wheel down on the rumble strips, upsets the balance of the car, takes the back end, swings the back end around, and Rusty, you and I have both been in that situation before. Through the debris. Well, Frank, that's Marco Andretti actually just slicing right underneath him. Luckily, he did not get taken out in it. Unser Jr, very wise, just slows down.
Mentioned something about turn 2 guy, a piece of debris, and I thought that's where the crash was. Well, Jeff Simmons apparently may have lost something on his car, and yes, he's coming out early onto the track there, crossing over the grass.
Okay, now if we were, and he just drove over something on the right front, if we get an opportunity to go back and look at that, maybe we'll stop it, and we can see that there was something there, and you know, it looked almost like a...
Townsend Bell's on board.
And they're coming in from about 110 miles an hour. Look at Townsend Bell's just trying to get, maybe going a bit too fast. Remember, he's going to be pitted a bit earlier coming into pit lane. Sam Hornish is faster than most other people. Now here's Danny Wheldon. Remember, he just did that split pack in the other lap. I think he got a little bit high possibly.
So let's go back with the onboard camera, see what happens.
See, just on the gas a little bit too much. And this is important to note, guys. These cars this year do not have traction control. Last year, these
ovals, but he has been working on it. Let's see what happens here.
Right in the very bottom section, transitioning over where it's getting the power down just a little bit too much. Wheldon does a great job driving through this.
Talk about it all day long, but his charts are too hard right now with his track's not dry enough yet, Scott.
On board with Scott Dixon.
As you see the moisture come off the tires, because we talked about just earlier on, the track is not necessarily dry. Driving in hard, the tires are not up to temperature, and Dixon lucky just to get through that without
the fact that he has had tough luck. But this one's Koski's.
Well, actually, let's go back and even think as we watch again with Koski. We ride on board, you can see how the car gets up in the air. But Jeff Simmons, remember the situation also in Japan where he was...
These guys are trying real hard. I will tell you, it always seems like it's Marco Andretti being the most aggressive one. Well, he's the youngest. I guess he's supposed to be that way. But look at this. Tail end hung out, holding on to it again, still in the throttle, got the thing pointed straight.
He doesn't have an opportunity to actually get through the bus stop, as we call it. But right now, he comes through. He has to stop, wait for the car on the right to pass through. He will
side by side with him. Let's see. We'll go on board with Marco.
It looked like Marco got right up alongside him, and Cheever just didn't know he was there and just come over. They're side by side right now. Here comes Cheever right over. Guys, I'll tell you what, it's hard to see out of these cars. So I know Eddie didn't mean that on purpose, that's for sure. But you know this.
Keep coming. Focus on Dave here. Broken the drive stuff. Broken the drive stuff. Drive shaft. Broken drive shaft.
Let's go back and take another look.
Go down the straightaway. Remember, we're just having the restart. A little bit cold tires. He actually makes a big dive down the center. That's a bold move, especially against somebody like Brian Herta, who is a road course specialist himself. That doesn't make a whole 11 car from Tony Kanaan, just trying to get the power down coming out of the turn. Just squeezed it just a little bit. That's 650 horsepower. Remember, we talked again, no traction control. The back engine, the cars will start to raise off the ground. Now we watch here, you see the sparks coming off from the cars ahead. The drivers have already just gone through this turn 3, 4. 1,000 pounds of downforce. Now let's ride along here with Franchitti, the number 10 car in front of you of Danny Wheldon. Franchitti trying the high side. Will he get it done? Touching wheels, Marty.
That is so close.
Take the Firestone right off the side of the tires. They're now black walls. Wheldon trying on the inside of Franchitti and just thought he might be able to carry this car repaired. Here we go along with Danica. Patrick, you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, as you mentioned, Rusty, he's way high now. Maybe race section, as we see here, everybody's starting to come past her. She does a nice gesture, actually. She starts to move out of the way. Oh, Sharp almost drove in the back of her because she's just trying to get out.
Here we go.
Watch the steering wheel, watch his hands. He starts to come out, put the power down. Remember, no traction control this year on these cars, so he squeezes the throttle as he comes out in the back. Very lucky to go back across the racetrack and not get hit by any of the traffic that's coming along, including his friend Tony Kanaan.
Well, you can just tell right now that it just stepped out on him. He's got this real slick racetrack out there approaching.
Some changes now. Here's the restart that we had. We're driving along with Marco Andretti, and right in front of you, the orange car, Vitor Meira, number 4, being very aggressive. Looked like he had pushed the 2 car of Thomas Scheckter up towards the wall, and he muscled past the 7 car of Brian Herta that you see directly. And boy, I'll tell you, that's a pardon me, excuse me, I'm coming through move. I mean, how lucky is that?
Hey, you talk about close racing. That was Vitor Meira banged in the side of Herta coming through.
Tona. And here we go with Scott right now going through the corner. You know something's going on with the car, guys. Either something in the back, a normal line going in, and either some type of a failure, a suspension. They're a competitive team, competitive drivers, competitive engineers. They want to make sure they're up front, and the driver himself is just pushing the car past the limit. The car is not as developed as the other cars on the other teams, and so for him, he's just trying to overdrive the car.
But now we've seen Elio spin, we've saw Sharp spin, we've seen Rice spin, all down in turn 3 and 4. I don't know if there's something going on down there with the wind or the transition. What do you think?
Well, there is the wind.
Tony gets a good run on the outside. Now you see Sam Hornish up front, duck in behind Dan Wheldon. Real safe move, but look at Tony on the throttle, right rear tire up against the wall, stays in the gas when he sees Helio having a little problem. Ooh, the touch right there, he makes it through. Let me tell you what, Scott Goodyear, that was one nervy move right off the bat.
News that Scott Dixon may have hit the wall. We're on board with Dario Franchitti.
You can see the car directly in front, just a slight brush of the wall. Now, the car was probably... Oh, this was the front stretch action we just saw a second ago. The 2 of Thomas Scheckter right up in front trying to get past Herta, who's just in front.
Marco.
Now what that is, it's actually the experience of the 27 that you're on board with right now of Dario Franchitti, knowing how to drive the car as deep into the... Get out. When you hit the wall like that, it's a big hit. Here we go, riding along with him right now. Looks like he's on his own, and you know something's probably happened to that car, guys. Now he has actually hit the safer barrier. That's the wall that you see on the right-hand side there.
So his car likes it up there. Let's go back. This is when they touch, Larry.
Look at these guys down the front straightaway, and you can see right there he's looking back at those guys. Let's go back and take a look at exactly what happened here. These 2 guys almost ran into each other, and Marco's making his own little suggestions there, and I think he was...
Once again, we'll go back a look at Danica. You can see just the absolute frustration.
Well, she only had 2 laps to go. She had battled so hard, come so close. I mean,
right now with Danica on the top side, on the right-hand side. Here comes Jeff Simmons squeezing down. He needs to get down to that low line. Probably rushed it just a little word.
From our ABC stations as you take one more look.
McKenna not losing his speed, but his fat got in too fast.
Now Wheldon, the fuel hose will not hook up because he's too far from the wall. He missed his marks. You can see the red mark that he has trying to actually hit, which is just over here, and that's where his left rear is actually supposed to be sitting when he comes into that. So that is a driver error for whatever reason. Himself because of that. Now here comes Scott Sharp. He's coming out of the pit lane, looks like. Yeah, looks like he's just had service. That is on the pit exit lane, Rusty, and the car just comes around. So let's see what went on there.
Yeah, what caused this yellow? We're on board here. Let's go back and see if we can see what... Whoa, contact. That is debris on the racetrack left by the contact between, it looks like, Dan Wheldon and Jeff Simmons.
And a carbon fiber wing sitting on the racetrack. If somebody runs over...
Let's go back. We hear there's a little contact here between Vitor and Scott Dixon, and... Ooh, yeah, that could cut a tire. Had some contact a little bit earlier.
Here we come to that turn 7 situation right there. There's Dixon just getting away with actually not being collected in that when that all happens.
Clear, yes. Outside, clear. Got sun coming inside. There you go, Mr. Scheckter coming in start. Clear. Coming in. We got a right rear tire flat. We got a right rear tire flat, Marco. Be very, very careful when you do the pit. When you do the pit with the right.
Black and the left front wing just touches the side of the wheel.